Ukraine says a series of explosions have hit the capital, Kyiv. Air raid sirens blared across the city Saturday morning, and residents were urged to take shelter. Officials say missiles have struck key infrastructure. Meanwhile, Russia claims its forces have taken the town of Soledar in eastern Ukraine. If true, it would mark a rare victory for Moscow after months of battlefield setbacks. Ukrainian officials dispute the claim. They say the fight isn't over yet.
In freezing winter conditions, Ukrainian soldiers in Soledar face a bleak battle against Russia's constant attacks. The fight here is bloody and brutal. Russia is determined to take control of this small salt mining town in the eastern region of Donetsk, a rare push forward after numerous military setbacks. Its forces are already claiming victory.
The complete control of Soledar makes it possible to cut off the supply lines of the Ukrainian forces located in the southwest of Bakhmut, then to block and enclose the Ukrainian units located there in a pocket.
Ukraine swiftly rejected the claim.
Now the terrorist state and its propagandists are trying to pretend that our city of Soledar, almost completely destroyed by the occupiers, is some kind of achievement for Russia. They're already presenting this as a success to their society in order to support the military mobilization and give hope to those who want aggression. But the fighting continues. The Donetsk front is holding.
The loss of Soledar would be a blow for Ukraine after months of hard-won successes, retaking towns and territories. But the fighting comes at a high cost.
It's close combat. We have gunshots, we have grenade shrapnel wounds and so on. So this kind of wounds increased.
Russia claims to have killed hundreds of Ukrainian soldiers in the battle for Soledar, but there is no confirmed death toll. More than 550 civilians are reportedly still living in the town in horrific conditions, without running water or electricity.
Domitilla Sagramoso is a security expert and senior lecturer at King's College London. Thank you for joining us. Tell me, please, if it is confirmed, that Russia has taken Soledar, it'll be their first victory for a long time, but what would it mean for Ukraine?
Yes, I think it is quite significant from the sort of point of view of Russia's morale, because they finally, after so many months and so many casualties and so much sort of artillery and use of tanks, they finally managed, it seems, to take control of this city. I think it is important in terms of also the local sort of tactical dimension, because it can threaten not only potentially eventually the encirclement of the city of Bakhmut, which is further south, but also the connection, the line, the roads that link Bakhmut to Siversk further to the northeast. So I think that, from the Ukrainian point of view, it is an issue of concern. Of course, if we look at the entire map of Ukraine, it is not a major advance from the Russian point of view. But if we look at the theater of war in this area, it could start sort of challenging other Ukrainian positions around, of course, Bakhmut, but potentially also towards Slavyansk and Kramatorsk, which are sort of very important sort of military bases for the Ukrainians. But the Ukrainians have built, I think, very effective defensive lines. So I don't think this will lead to a major collapse of Ukrainian lines.
And Ukraine's Western allies, just looking forward, are promising armored vehicles and training for Ukrainian soldiers over the next few months. If all of those mooted promises of weapons come through, how will that change things?
I think that is the most significant question, and I'm glad you raised it, because here the key point is how much support Ukraine is going to get, and whether potentially it will eventually get the famous Leopards, which are the tanks that are originally produced in Germany. So Germany has a very important sort of decision there to make to allow other countries to re-export, the Leopards that they acquired from Germany. But also, for example, the British are promising their Challenger 2 armored vehicles, which are quite effective. So I think that if Ukrainians receive additional support to carry out offensive operations, and that includes not only tanks, but also air support, which is often not addressed very much, and there is very little information how much air support Ukraine might get in terms of aircraft, air training, I think then we can see a significant change. And if I may add, I think what is interesting is that we are noticing that Western countries, tend to provide additional support to Ukraine when there are losses, when there is a particular difficulty, when Ukraine is forced to retreat, or when it is massively bombarded, as is happening now, at the moment in Kyiv and in other cities. Then it seems the West sort of reacts and provides the necessary protection.
Thank you, Ms. Sagramos. I'm sorry, we have to leave it there just for time reasons. Thank you so much for your insight, though.
Thank you.
And here in Germany, media reports suggest the defense minister is planning to resign. Christine Lambrecht has come under scrutiny for a number of blunders, most recently an unofficial New Year's message that critics found distasteful. She allowed her son also to fly with her on official business on a government helicopter. Lambrecht, a member of Chancellor Olaf Scholz's Social Democrats, has taken heat for failing to reform Germany's fast enough. And DW political correspondent Emily Gordine has more on the story for us. So she's going or not going?
Well, we don't know that for sure, right? So far we've got 2 national newspapers that have reported on her resignation or the fact that she could potentially resign next week. Süddeutsche Zeitung actually said that she's already spoken to Chancellor Scholz and that she will make a public announcement about her resignation next week. Until then, it's all open and we don't know for sure.
And so what exactly did she do wrong? What's the problem here?
Well, let's bring in this video that we just saw a couple of minutes earlier, but just because it's such an important video, right? This is Christine Lambrecht on New Year's Eve. She gave a speech in a video that she uploaded onto Instagram, and it's been widely criticised for being incredibly tone-deaf, right? In this video, she talks about the war in Ukraine leading to, quote, a lot of special experiences and to meeting a lot of, and it led to a lot of special encounters, right? So it was just incredibly tone-deaf.
Explosions behind her, like fireworks, right?
Absolutely, and that as well. So it's the context as well,
Explosions in Kyiv of a different nature.
Precisely. So widely criticised, but it was seen also as just the cherry on top in a series of press blunders. So that is one side of Christine Lambrecht's problem. On the other side, you have the political issues, right? She's been criticised for the slow procurement of weapons for the German army. She's also been accused of lacking expertise, not knowing the difference between military machinery, mixing up ranks. So all in all, that's led to a pretty bad reputation on her side. And it gives off the impression that she's not up for the job and not interested in the job. So making her a liability for the government, really.
Of course. And focus internationally has been massively on Germany because of the war on Ukraine, and particularly its defense policy, perceived foot-dragging, etc. Well, you'll tell me more. Is this likely to make things worse, do you think, for Germany's image abroad?
Well, it certainly adds uncertainty, right? I mean, Germany currently faces this big decision of whether it will send battle tanks to Ukraine. Right. And at the same time, it's just really unfortunate timing as well, because next week on Sunday, defense ministers are set to meet in Ramstein to deliberate further assistance to Ukraine. And that obviously raises the question, is she going to go? Is she not going to go? So all of that needs to be decided. It leads to a lot of uncertainty. At the same time, what we have to keep in mind is that the decision to send weapons to Ukraine isn't made solely by her. It is a decision that is made by Chancellor Olaf Scholz together with his coalition partners, together with allied partners, and that's not going to change. So, and with a bit of, what the hope is also that a new person will be chosen for that post. That could be an improvement to the situation.
Okay. DW correspondent Emily Gordine, thanks so much.